everybody.
Or where it could be afternoon too.
Well, it could be afternoon. For us, it's morning. And we're in the car. And we're on our way to do our weekly grocery shopping. But I read something very interesting to me, and I just wanted to share it. And I'm going to read a few excerpts from a talk that Dr. Mark Hyman gave. I think we told you this before, but he not only is he an MD, but he's the director of the Cleveland Clinic Center for Functional Medicine, the founder of the Ultra Wellness Center, and a 10-time #1 New York best-selling author. He's one of the doctors we follow, and he has really good information. Anyway, he was asked to speak on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday celebration. I think it was his 51 years. No, whatever. It was 51 years ago to the day that he spoke, that Martin Luther King spoke about the injustice of the Vietnam War, and Dr. Hyman spoke at the very same pulpit that Dr. King had spoken at. So, like I said, I'm just going to read a few excerpts from his talk. He said, he gave a talk about the role of our food system and the food industry in deliberately subverting the health and targeting the poor and minorities. The day was focused on Martin Luther King Jr.'s fight for civil rights and social justice for minorities and the poor. However, the harm of the food system affects us all. He said that 70% of all deaths are caused by chronic disease, mostly because of our toxic food system. The science is clear. Our processed, sugary, starchy diet is the single biggest cause of disease and death. Type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, cancer, and even dementia. Our food system is the deadliest weapon used against the poor and minorities, keeping them and all of us, this applies to all of us, sick and fat and hijacking our brains and biology. We may think that what we eat is a personal choice, and that it is rooted in our cultural and our family traditions, but we now know that the food industry designs our food to be addictive, that they hire craving experts who work in the taste institutes to design what they call the bliss point of food. Did you know that? Did you know that food companies that hire craving experts? Wow. And the purpose of their designing these foods is to create heavy users of their product. These are their internal corporate terms. The bliss point of food, all that. The craving experts, that's what they use as vernacular in their businesses. And we've told you this before, but Dr. Hyman said that sugar and processed foods were more addictive than cocaine, and that the food industry has hijacked our brain chemistry, our taste buds, our metabolism, our bodies, and our minds. And what about our kids? 40% of them are overweight. We now see 3-year-old kids with type 2 diabetes, which used to be adult onset diabetes. We are all told that kids' behavior problems result from bad parenting. However, Dr. Hyman also has a theory. He said that if our children go to school with a breakfast of Coke or colored sugar water and Doritos or flaming hot chips, how can we expect them to focus or pay attention? These are not foods. They are food-like substances with no nutritional benefit. This diet creates an achievement gap because kids are too sick to learn. 1 in 10 of our kids are on ADD medication, and the science shows the junk our kids eat is a big part of the cause. The food industry spends $10 billion on marketing junk foods to our kids every year. The average kid sees over 6,000 ads for junk food and soda on TV, and even more through social media. These companies are junk food pushers. He also theorizes that much of the violent crime is a result of our diet that robs us of our minds, affects our thinking, judgment, and ability to make good choices. You may think that's too far-fetched, he says, but studies have shown feeding violent prisoners healthy diets in prisons can reduce crime by 56%. When adding a multivitamin, because they're also nutritionally deficient, violent crime goes down by 80%. Man, Who knew that?
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
It's very interesting. The food industry employs nefarious tactics to prevent change. They buy friends, silence critics, and to sweeten their profits. He goes on to say that he was part of a documentary called Fed Up, a movie about how our food system makes us sick and fat with addictive sugary and starchy products. He says he met with Bernice King, Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter, and she explained to me that nonviolence also includes nonviolence to ourselves. She was excited about showing Fed Up at the King Center in Atlanta, but a few days later he got a call that said that they couldn't show the film. When he asked why, the answer was because Coca-Cola funds the King Center. Our bodies, our health, our children, our communities have been taken from us. It is time that we take them back. He goes on to say that it's up to us, that this is kind of a new revolution that we can start. There's a lot of things that we can't do, but he explains that we vote 3 times a day with our forks. If we choose foods that are real foods, whole foods, and he said, how can you tell that? He said, when you pick up a food product, think to yourself, did God make this or did man make this? If you pick up a bag of Doritos and a Coke, man made those. If you pick up an egg and some broccoli, God made those. And it's best to stay with whole foods, God-made foods, so that our bodies can be nourished as best as possible, and that we can take our health back. We can take the health of our kids' health back. I just found this very, very interesting. Edie and I study about nutrition and health a lot. We enjoy reading up on these subjects, and this particular talk that he gave just really hit me, because it actually makes a lot of sense in what's going on in today's society. So anyway, we just thought we'd share a little bit with you on that. And do you have anything to add?
I just would think that one of the things that people think when they go on any sort of a diet, I guess, or eating whole foods, is that they're afraid that they're going to miss all their favorite foods. But the thing is how much freedom do you actually have if you're eating crap that contributes to a decline in your health? It may be a freeing moment. It's kind of like committing a crime. Sure, you had the freedom to do the crime, but you didn't have the freedom to choose the consequences. You chose the consequences when you made the choice to do the crime. And the same thing with eating. It's a crime against your body. That when you make a choice to say, okay, I really want to eat chocolate ice cream or whatever the case is, and I'm not saying you should never do that. It's just that if your health is going to suffer because of day in and day out choices that you make, how much freedom do you actually have in the end, and what did you give up by that choice long term? Not an occasional ice cream cone or a piece of birthday cake you do once a year for your own birthday, but I'm talking about day in, day out. That is not living free, and that is not being able to live a full, authentic life. So that's my opinion.
Well, another thing that goes along with that is that if you have an addictive personality, or if you have food sensitivities, and you eat those products, you eat some sugar and stuff, it's really hard for your bodies to say no again. Once you let go of it, in my opinion, it's kind of dangerous. If you have those issues, food sensitivities and addictive personality, if you have those issues, it's really kind of dangerous to play with that ever again. It's probably just easier to stay away from it as much as you possibly can.
Which is why I will never again eat a piece of cake or a cookie, probably not even a piece of cookie, or a donut or anything like that, because I can't walk away. To me, a serving size of Oreos is a whole package, so there's no reason for me to go there.
And we used to do that. We used to eat a whole package of Oreos. We used to have all kinds of junk food. And I tell you, the more we study and the more we learn about health and nutrition, the more we realize all the issues that we had. And we still have them. We would still have them if we went back to eating that way. So it's not worth it to us. We feel so much healthier. We can fit into seats better. It's just, last summer, when was it? Was it last summer that we had my grandsons up here? We took them to a movie, and we just sat in the seats like real people.
It wasn't awkward. That was always a problem for me. Is this seat going to be wide enough for me to fit? And am I going to be embarrassed if something happens? I can't sit. So this is a much more freeing life. By making choices now that are good for my health, I actually have more freedom than I ever did choosing foods I wanted to eat. That wasn't freedom. That was actually a bondage, and it put me in some sort of a prison because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't keep up with my friends. Just going to Disneyland, which I love, was hard because it's hard to get on those rides. It's hard to go to an amusement park. So just because you can choose to eat whatever you want doesn't mean you have freedom. And sometimes, more often than not, you're choosing bondage and some kind of a prison because your health is going to suffer. And then somebody's going to have to step up and take care of you, and now they're in some sort of bondage because of the choices you made. So that's my thoughts.
That's what we have for you today. So anyway, just let us know if you agree with it. Comment below, give us a like, and we'll talk to you real soon.